Hey everybody. So this should be another fairly quick and straightforward tutorial. I'm making another pauldron, and again, this is another. You see, it's kind of the leaf motif that I have going on with several of my other pauldrons and bags and whatnot. So this one's the design's different, but it should match the other designs. And I'm going to be doing that not just so I'll just walk you through this real quick. Not just with the leaves that I have going on here, but also in the shape of the pauldron pieces. You see here they have that kind of that leaf cutouts. So let me walk you through this real quick. Everything's pretty much laid out in the pattern. You just need to I tape mine down to the leather, and then I cut it out and punch out the holes. It just works better for me to do it that way. You can do it other ways if you want, but this version of on the pattern, and there's two versions. This one is the leaf shape, and so what I did was just I printed out all of the pieces. In this case, on this one, I stitched it together, or I put the two pieces together, taped it together first, and that's what this little icon here is, the little scissors. You'll see in the pattern that there are some lines and some little icons here, and once you cut out the individual pieces, you're going to overlap and make sure, well, you're not going to overlap, you're going to make sure that the two halves of the scissors line up and are in alignment with the dotted line that goes above, so that it's in one piece and it comes together how it should. So that's what make sure you do that, and make sure also when you print this out, you're printing it at 100%. You're at full size. You're not scaling. None of that. Okay. So yeah, did put those together, cut everything out, punch the holes like normal. Thus the main pieces. There's a few small pieces like this, and this is going to be on the outside of this piece here, because this is going to, as you stitch it together, it's going to create that curve, and then to help hold it together, this is going to be over the top, unifying two sides, and I'll show you that when I start working on it. But I wanted to show you this piece first, so let me take off the pattern pieces that I have already cut out so I can show you the leather. This is some nice leather. It has some nice some not heavy pull up, but it has a little bit of pull up on there. You can see like that. So but it has a nice thickness. This is probably 4 or 5 ounce medium temper, I would say, just from my experience. Okay, so have these pieces cut out. I'm going to be using, and I haven't decided yet exactly, but this is the pattern as is, and you can make it like this with this piece here making the curve, and these little pieces right here go underneath this bottom piece for the strap that goes under the arm. And I'll be showing you also how to connect, at least on my harnesses, how to connect this piece to the shoulder harness when it goes over the shoulder. Okay, so I'll show you that here in a little bit. But some of the things that I'll be doing are adapting this with some more of these leaves in the pattern. Okay, so I need to cut out some more leaves and score them and whatnot to match this, but basically these are going to be here, something like that, and then I'll be putting leaves on the individual pieces as well, something like this to help cover up these pieces like this. This will be underneath with some rivets, but if you want to make it look nice, hide some of those, or just accent with the rivets, you know, putting the leaves down here, you know, something similar. And then also have a couple up here just for accent pieces. I need to cut another one out for this spot. But that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm adding a lot of these leaf pieces. You'll find them in the pattern. Just print off these as many as you need. And let me show you real quick what I do. Hold on. Okay, so for the embossing, or not embossing, debossing, for all these that I do, I first start with a swivel knife, and I have a couple of swivel knives, and this one is way sharper than this one. So I imagine a duller swivel to make the mark, and then use the stylus. This has a more of a ball point on the tip. This one has more of a fine tip. But then I go over these things, go over where the swivel knife was, to make the veins, I guess you call them. The different types of leather will react differently to the swivel knife and stylus. You can see here. Maybe this one's a little bit better. So depending on the leather you use, you will get different effects. Yeah, those are probably the best ones to show you. Okay, so that's how you do the veins on the leaves. After you cut them out, as many as you want to use on your design. Okay, so I'm going to start just by putting this together. First I need to start doing this one here, this piece right here. So I'm going to stitch this together with this piece right here. And actually the curved end goes down here, just for aesthetics. You can make both ends curved if you want. It's up to you. I'm actually thinking as well of putting some, punching some leaves, or punching some holes similar to this, so it covers that stitch line. That actually look pretty cool. So I put one there, and another one, or maybe a smaller one and a bigger one, and then an even bigger one above that. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to do this to make it your own, but I'm going to start with getting this put together. Okay, so I'll be right back and show you the progress. Okay, so I just wanted to show you kind of what I was talking about earlier. There's this piece here that is going to bridge the gap and kind of strengthen the stitching here, bringing this piece together, and which gives it that curve, gives it a little bit of curve when putting it on the shoulder. But I wanted to show you what I was talking about with these leaves. So I went ahead and at the first stitch on the bottom here, starting there, I punched out 4 holes for both sides, 4 on this side, 4 on that side. And I started stitching there, stitched a little bit above that, and then just enough to kind of cover up that stitching a little bit. I placed the larger leaf, slightly larger, did 4 more holes, continued stitching up, and I have this 1, 2, 3, 4 that I'll be using for this one. So it's going to go, the last one will be that I got. So it's going to be like this. Okay, and I'll show you when it's done. But I wanted to show you the leaves are totally optional. Again, this is what you're definitely going to use to bring these together. This piece you can actually put on the inside if you wanted to stitch it and not have this piece showing. That's optional, however you want the piece to look. Go ahead and use that on the top or bottom. And that goes for the other pattern as well, the simplified non-leaf shaped. Okay, so let me get this other leaf put on here, and then I'll show you what it looks like real quick. The other thing I was going to just mention, these little keepers are awesome just for getting stuff in place, making sure that you have the right number of holes. punched out so that, the holes on here align with these holes on the bottom piece. These little keepers are great. I love using them just to keep things in place. Makes it easier to sew as well. All right, let me finish that and I'll just be right back. Hey everybody, so I have it finished and I wanted to kind of show you how everything laid out. You probably noticed on some of the pictures, on some I was going through the little hole that was here and here. I was going to make like a strip that connected across with more leaves, but didn't get around to it, and I thought it might be just a little too extra. So I used those holes, and they're in the pattern, but you can use those holes to put conchos like this, or like this one, but that's what those are for. And again, they're optional. Okay, so let me run you through how this is, how I set it up and just put it together real quick. I already showed you this piece here and sewing the leaves to the reinforcement there on the inside. You can see it there, right? So walk through that already. So what you're going to do to put it together, like I mentioned before, on this main piece that's going to go first under the larger shoulder piece, I put a couple of Chicago screws and a loop. And you'll see in the pictures on the mannequin that this little loop right here is how I attach it to the shoulder harness, the strap that goes over the shoulder. So use Chicago screws there just in case I need to adjust how long that loop is. I just did I just eyeballed it first according to how it was going to sit on the mannequin. But depending on your shoulder and your shoulder width and how your arm is, you might need to make that longer or shorter, or use some other type of enclosure system like a buckle, like I've done on some of my other pauldrons. That is totally up to you. But again, using Chicago screws makes it easier to take these off and adjust them versus rivets. Okay. But speaking of that, on this main piece, I cut out the leaves here and punch the holes and then put the Chicago screws in, and I made it look just nice on this piece, so it kind of lined up with these other leaf elements of the main piece below it. And then I riveted this to the main shoulder here and here. Okay, and you can kind of see those there and there. So those are riveted down, and then I just proceeded one to the next, riveting this piece to here. Okay, you can see that's kind of how it's laid out. And I just started riveting one piece to the next, to the next, to the next. And then on this last piece, I put these little loops, these little where to thread the strap that goes under the arm, so that it holds the whole pauldron to the shoulder, and it's not like attached here and flapping around. The patterns that are out there like that, they bug me because there's no way to hold this to the arm. So that's what these are for. And you'll see on the mannequin that I use a strap, just a thin strap with a buckle to go loop it under the arm and hold it there. On the outside, like I mentioned before, I put these leaves just there in the middle. You can see the rivets for those. Just riveted those to the middle before riveting, each one to the next. Trying to rivet these after connecting would be a little bit more difficult, right? So if you're going to put these leaves on each piece, do it before connecting the hole on the sides. Okay, and that's it. That's it. Fairly easy to do. The main thing you're going to have to account for and measure is just this loop connecting to the shoulder strap, the shoulder harness, to make sure it sits right on your shoulder, or whoever's going to be wearing it, right? And you can see that these articulate. They articulate really well, so you can move around, move your arm, move your shoulder, and it's going to stay on your body. Okay, let me go ahead and get this on the mannequin, take some pictures, and then let you get to it. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any of those things, any of those platforms, or my website, simplegoodleather.com. Like I mentioned before, this is the leaf version. There's a whole nother version of this without the leaf design elements. So it's just a very vanilla pauldron, but it still looks nice and is easily customizable to your needs. Okay. One thing I would mention, I think I mentioned it before, I can't remember, but this leather is probably like a 5 to 6 ounce, medium temper, maybe a little bit softer, make like a medium to medium soft actually. But that's what I used here. You could use probably 8 to 9. I had a customer tried 9 to 10 ounce, and they had issues just with the curvature and getting stuff to wrap. And so 9 to 10 ounce, probably a little too much, but you can try it if you want. Just take that and take the thickness into account when you're wrapping stuff around corners like this, or it's not around corners, on curves. Okay, because it's thicker, right? So, and I would go as low as maybe 4 to 5 ounce. Anything thinner than that probably isn't going to hold up very well, and probably be a little too floppy, and just I probably wasn't going to look right. Anyway, so that's the sizes I recommend using, and again, the leaves are all optional. You don't have to do that. I just like how they look. Okay, next I'm going to be showing you another pauldron. This is going to be the oak leaf pauldron, and we'll get to that. All right, talk to you later. Hey everybody. So quick just a variation to what I originally said. The previous pattern that I did with the leaves on it, I'm gonna combine that one with this one, since they're both leaf designs, leaf motifs, themed around the leaves. So I'm gonna combine that one with this one. I'm also gonna, the other one, there's two versions of it. There's one with a leaf like I showed, and there's one without, just a plain version. And I'll go ahead and include that in the pattern pack, so you can use that one without the leaves if you desire, like I mentioned in those videos, or in those segments. But I'm gonna do this one instead to show you the process and how to put it together, since it's, the other one is basically the same thing without leaves. So this one's laid out with A, B, C, D, E. Meaning the A goes on the top, the B goes under that, C goes under that, and just kind of how it's laid out here. So the A is at the top, E is at the bottom. This one also has, aside from the large pieces, it also has these here, and these are oak leaves, in case you're wondering. So this pauldron is an oak leaf pauldron. The shapes here and the shapes here are all pieces of the oak leaf. Okay, so they're oak leaf shaped. So I'm going to refer to this one as the oak leaf pauldron. Okay. Anyway, so there's as I cut out, I'm going to cut out these bigger pieces. You'll notice, let me show you here. Some of them are larger. So like this is a two big pieces here. The little scissor icon here, once you cut these out on the dotted lines, they will line up. You know, the scissors will line up exactly like that. And you'll see that as I progress here in the video. But I wanted to make sure you're aware of that. The first page also has test sizes that you can make sure, so you make sure that once you print it out at 100% with no changing the shape, print it out at 100 and everything should line up, and then use those test section at the first page to make sure that things are sized correctly. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start cutting out all these pieces here first, and then I'm going to tape these together. Well, I'm going to tape these two pieces together since they're A1 and A2. I'm going to tape these two pieces together, B1 and B2. Okay, we can do that, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, so back again. Got all the pieces cut out, like such. Yeah, so got all the pieces cut out. These ones are fairly simple. I haven't done any of the vein tooling on this yet. I still need to, or still want to, bevel and burnish the edges just to clean up some of these little pieces where I was cutting around with the X-Acto. But so I need to, yeah, I still need to bevel and burnish pieces. But I wanted to show you kind of where they're at the moment. So I got all the pieces: A, the B pieces, D, or C, D, and E. And again, this one goes on top of B. B then goes on top of C, on top of D and E, just in order. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll show you these. So, really nice leather. This may be a little softer. It's kind of floppy. Probably a little bit softer tempered than I was hoping for. Something a little bit more medium to stiff might be better, but we'll see how it turns out. The final product. But for right now, it's feeling a little soft, just in my opinion. But it might turn out okay. We'll see. So yeah, got these. Let me get all the pieces off here just to show you. There's the this one with this piece here, and a couple ways you can do this. You can either do it on top, stitch on top where it's visible, or I think I'm going to put it on the bottom here and stitch it like this. Well, almost like that. Like that. So it's on the, so it comes together so it's not visible. All it's going to be visible are the stitches. Okay, and I do lined stitches, so I go back, and then on the inside you'll see that it will crisscross. But that's how I do mine. Okay, you'll see that when I get to it. But yeah, there's that one with that piece. I have the longer piece for this one, and this one's as well. And I'll actually, before I start stitching on this one, I'll show you. I use these little stitch keepers. I use these things. They come together with that piece, and I'll put it together just so I have the shape and I make sure I have all the holes accounted for and everything lines up. I'll use these with this when I'm putting it before I stitch it. You know, I'll start like that, and I'll put one. Ouch! I'll put one of them in the holes, and I'll just run it down like that. This one's, I had some extra darker green, and I think I'll put this on the inside as well. Maybe on the outside. That might look interesting. As far as like a leaf type look. We'll see when I get to it. But yeah, these stitch keepers are great. Aside from being sharp, they're great for keeping everything in place and making sure that everything lines up correctly. So I recommend those. Okay, I'm gonna bevel and burnish, and then I'm gonna start. I'll start on this one, and then these pieces, making sure that the rivet holes line up correctly is kind of what I'll do first, and then I'll get to this one and this one, and this is going to be interesting. I don't have there's not really a set on this one. There's not really a set way to attach from here to the shoulder strap, to the shoulder like harness, but it'll be similar to other ones I've done where there'll be a loop from here with probably some Chicago screws, since that's just an easy way of getting stuff on and off, or snaps if you're going to use snaps. But from here through to the larger piece, and with this one over here, and create a loop that you can run a shoulder strap through, and then that's where it would attach. But that's kind of the process that I'm going to go in. Okay, all right, I'm gonna get started and I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to show you what I was talking about with these stitch keepers. So I put the reinforcement piece here on the back on this one, but then I use these stitch keepers to make sure I have the right number of holes and that they line up correctly here. So when I start to stitch back and forth here, I'll just take them out as I go. And that's exactly what I did with this one. And this one I put the piece on top. I wanted to look more, let me zoom out. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to look more like a leaf and like this be part of the vein of the leaf. But so I went back and forth this way. And on the inside, you can see the cross pattern. So that's what I did here. I did the same thing with these little stitch keepers. I did it along the whole piece, keeping it together, and then just as I stitched, pulled them out. Okay, so just a tip, if you want to do that, you can. If not, that's fine. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up these, and then start putting this together with the other pieces and the little. I'm going to notice this is the top one, and I've punched out some holes for the Chicago screws and for some rivets and some of these accent pieces. I think it's going to look nice. Okay, be right back. Okay, so I have the pieces done. This is the top piece, the very top one. I have, like I mentioned, just some embellishments here. These two pieces I have with the Chicago screws, and then I have this main piece here, this middle piece, just riveted down. So keeping that in mind as I go through these two Chicago screws. That's going to go on top. Attaching it to the shoulder strap, I have this piece here that's going to go in between the top and this main piece. So I have the holes punched out and the just sewn real quick, just to make a loop, really, that's going to feed through the shoulder strap's going to feed through here, or the shoulder harness. It's going to feed through here. If you have a different way of doing this, or if you have something already in place, like similar to my other pauldrons, if you wanted to make a buckle here to adjust the placement, but this is going to be just about right. I measured it already as far as placement goes for what I have on my mannequin. So, and it allows for about an inch and a half size here. So this piece, this is going to depend on your harness. on how you're trying to attach it to your shoulder strap or shoulder harness itself. Okay, so this is, as far as the pauldron goes, this is going to go here between A and B, the main, the larger piece here. Okay, so it's going to sit kind of like that. Okay, once I place it in here. But yeah, so it's going to go in between, just sandwiched between this piece and this piece. Okay. Also, I needed a way to attach the arm piece of the pauldron to here. Okay, so let me show you what I came up with. So here I have the holes for the Chicago screws that attach there, right? So I have them here. This piece, because it's going to sit a little bit farther down, just on the shoulder, coming off of the shoulder, it's not going to sit up here because that's going to be too high up, right? So as it sits coming off the shoulder, it's going to be about this far away. So what I did was I punched a couple holes here for rivets. You can see it here, right there. So there's rivets there, and I have the holes already for the Chicago screws. So what I did was make a piece of leather here that's going to attach with rivets on this side. And then so if I place it here, like that, it's going to attach this piece with rivets to the main piece here with the Chicago screws. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these three pieces put together as one cohesive piece, and then put on, attach it to the shoulder strap and then to the mannequin. And then I'm hoping I can get my son to model it so you can actually see it on a person and see how it moves. Because if it's attached here to the main piece and here to the piece, it's going to allow some flexibility, right? It's going to allow some movement. On the pattern that I show with this right here, this is really going to depend on the size of your shoulder. So if you need this to be like the distance between here and here to be less or more, okay, measure that placement first before cutting this out. And this is just a scrap piece of leather. It doesn't have to be the same color because this is going to be underneath. But this is a scrap piece of leather that I had that I measured on the mannequin. And so it's going to more or less be like right there, on the curve, right? So I'm going to attach these, attach this. And one other thing that I wanted to just explain, Chicago screws, the posts are different sizes. So you can get posts that are like really, really long posts, and different sizes here. I got this from Amazon. It just has a different depth available, and then a whole bunch of screws. Some of them are shorter screws than others for, allowing for that gap. But because of, the gap here, trying to place, oh, I lost it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, trying to place this between here and this piece here. I needed a post that was going to give some space for the leather. So that's one thing to take into consideration when you're building this, is the Chicago screws or the rivets. Have a nice long rivet there. I guess I didn't really talk about the embellishments here on this one, but yeah. So I made some embellishments, some oak leaves on the top piece and on the side piece that goes down the arm. I added these are totally optional, and so I used a longer post rivet to allow for the extra pieces here and there, and so it ends up like this. These pieces here are for the arm strap to hold it to the arm, which I'll be showing here in just a little bit when I attach to the mannequin. But yeah, here's what it looks like. And so when putting it together, you just put these down in place between the different layers. And it just gives it a little bit more dimension, more of a fantasy leaf shape. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to get these pieces put together with this and then on the mannequin, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, so just wanted to do a quick addendum after I shot those videos with my son wearing this. I wanted to just point out it might have looked like it was sitting a little bit off on his shoulder, just because, you know, he's not as wide a shoulder as the mannequin, so it was sitting a little bit off. And I wanted to point out, yeah, this piece right here, this strap, was just too long for him. This piece right here that I'm pointing at, this should sit on the shoulder like that, so that it forms around the shoulder. And so for him, I would have to make this piece, this strap right here, shorter, which is why I use those Chicago screws, so that on this scrap piece of leather, I can just undo those screws, cut this piece shorter, open up a couple more holes, and it's you know, it's shorter. So make sure you measure where this piece, this you know, this right here, is going to sit on your shoulder firmly before you make the strap to connect it to the upper two pieces. Okay, that way once you put it together, it sits properly on the shoulder, and the rest of the pieces look right, instead of, you know, hanging too far off like that. You know, it'll sit up a little bit higher, how it should be. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out real quick. Otherwise, contact me if you have any questions, or send me pics of how yours turned out. You can reach me on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or any of those. All right, talk to you later and good luck.